Hello everyone! It's the week of Valentine, love is in the air, and while I've already done a top 10 love stories in World of Warcraft, what about those relationships that are hinted at, but never really confirmed? What about those characters that we'd really want to be in a romantic relationship? A top list of relationships that we ship in Warcraft. A list built with your help, cause, my god, I dare to ask for suggestions on Twitter, and you all really delivered. I'll be going over some of them and see what we have to support it, but keep in mind that I might be trying to sink a couple of ships here and there. Feel free to absolutely ignore me. That's the fun of it, taking characters that we know and love in situations that we can imagine. I'm just trying to figure out if we have something to support with the actual backstory. Also, to the one that commented that they're not really interested in love within their story of Warcraft. They just want fighting and smashing each other up. Sometimes you need a bit of motivation to do so, and what better reason than to do it for love.
What do we want?
Now, it would be impossible to start off this list without one of the original ships, one so strong that even the writers themselves addressed it multiple times. I'm of course talking about Thrall and Jaina. A relationship forged out of the fires of war. As the Burning Legion showed up to take another bite out of Azeroth during Warcraft 3, these two had to put aside the history and work together.
Unite with them? Are you mad?
Jaina, even when growing up, she always saw the orcs different than most humans did, since as a child she visited the internment camps and she did not see the monsters that Arthas did. They had children after all. Children like Thrall, who grew up under the tyrannical rule of Aedalis Blackmoor, who planned to use his slave gladiator to lead the other orcs and take over the world. Luckily, there were also kinder humans in Thrall's life, like Tarifa Foxton, his only friend and family during those years of enslavement. She even helped him escape and become the war chief that we know him best as, at the cost of her own life. So two characters already open to the idea of working together, despite the dark history between the humans and the orcs, despite the history between the Alliance and the Hordes. Their union eventually meant the defeat of Archimonde himself, and to keep this small seed of peace going, they decided to stay in touch with one another and live close by within Faramir and Orgrimmar. Now, not everyone was down with their plans for the future. Not everyone was ready to just forget about the past, not to mention the influence from outside sources, like Jaina's father, demons and old gods, that tried very hard to have them fight with each other. Through it all, these friends, these lovers, some might say, they stuck through it and they showed the world what could potentially be. Many secret meetings at very secret locations. The Lady of Faramir has the power to teleport whenever she pleases. Who knows what went down during those moments when no one was around. If only the world could find a way to live peaceful with each other, then perhaps these two could finally display their love for the whole world to see. It almost writes itself, and like I said, it has been incorporated into the actual lore. In the novel The Shattering, we have Eitrick who makes a comment about this. He thinks it's a pity that Jaina is not an orc. She's strong and smart and great-hearted, a leader all on her own. She will bear strong sons and brave daughters. A fine mate she could make someone someday, if she so choose. A pity that she's not an orc, and so cannot be yours. Thrall couldn't help it. He threw back his head and laughed loudly. Instead, with the strong female humans in his life, Thrall's journey would lead him to meet with Agra, who'd help him along his way of becoming a better shaman and known by his birth name, known as Goel. Even she had heard the rumors, which outraged her to the core. Gossip that pairs Thrall with Jaina or even Tarifa, depending on the brew on tap. That would not be his future though. Instead, Goel and Agra, they would find a deep connection and even get married amidst the cataclysm. The friendship between Jaina and Thrall would take quite a few hits over the years, but the mage would also find someone very important to share her life with. The blue dragon Caligos. Now, it's a bit up in the air where these two are standing right now. Caligos is a nice segue into the next ship though, which is Volthois and Stellagosa. Both characters were introduced within the expansion Legion, whereas Stellagosa is part of the Blue Dragon Flight, and as seen with Caligos, the Blues are definitely drawn to creatures connected to magic. He himself fell for Envina, the embodiment of the Sunwell, as well as Jaina Proudmoore, a very powerful mage. So we can say for certain that Blues, unsurprisingly, are drawn to magic. Volthois is a Nightborn that was locked away behind their shield for millennia, feeding on the Nightwell, until the Legion made the return with the aid of alternate Gul'dan. They showed up and offered the Nightborn a choice. They could either lower their shield and surrender, or they would be destroyed by the Legion. Their Queen Elisande saw no other option but to give up, a choice that not all of the Nightborn agreed with. Valentine was one of those Nightborn believing that with the Nightwell, they were fully capable of standing up against the demons. A failed rebellion followed, but with our aid, they rose up once more. With the fruits of the Arkandor, they were liberated from their addiction to the Nightwell, but we don't exactly have enough fruit to go around for everyone. With her knowledge of the ley lines, she believed that we could redirect them to our base of operations, so that those that are still addicted, that had not tasted the fruits, they would have a source of power to feed upon. We joined her on this quest, of course, and it is there where Valentine and Stelegosa, they meet with one another. Just listen to the interaction, and you will know why they're being shipped.
Good help is so hard to find.
You sought to hide, Nightfallen? I could sense your teleportation signatures from Azure Wing.
Wait! This isn't what it looks like. We simply need to tap the... Oh, I guess it is what it looks like.
Our champion's presence is the only thing staying my hand. Speak quickly.
By placing the taps on key points of the ley line, I can direct its flow.
If you are going to poke at a ley line, at least make sure it's the right spot. Try a little bit to the right.
I am not poking it. I am tapping. I suppose it could work there. Anyway, moving along. The next tap should go here.
Are you sure about that placement? It would be better here.
I have spent millennia studying ley lines. I am certainly capable of finding one right beneath my feet.
But I can see the line and the focus of the conduit. You want to put it there.
Fine. We can do it your way. But if this entire cave ends up exploding with arcane energy, it will be on your head. This final tap will allow me to steer the flow of energy like the rudder of a ship. Right around here should do the trick.
You can do that? Perhaps you know a thing or two after all.
My goodness! Was that a compliment? The ritual demands my full concentration. Please ensure I am not interrupted.
Allow me to aid you. This form is ill-suited for fighting in such close quarters, and we are accompanied by a capable champion.
You may help me find the ley lines, if you must. Just try not to get in my way. It is done. The flow has been redirected to Shalaran. I must rest before we make our way back to Shalaran. That was more taxing than I expected.
You have done enough, Arcanist. I shall take you both to Shalaran. Come with me.
Your control over such vast energies is impressive. That was no small task.
You made an excellent assistant. Your inherent knowledge of ley lines is almost as expansive as mine.
Yes, and I know the convergence of ley lines feeds great power to the Nightwell.
Exiled Nightborn are being
Harnessing
held
that much
captive
power
by
is
the
perilous.
Legion.
But if she could...
I know what she would be capable of. That is why we must stop her. You go on ahead and inform Thalyssra. I have a few questions for our friend here.
Yes? What do you want to know?
Do you actually visualize the lines? Or is it more that you sense them? Is it a constant sensation? Or can you turn it on and off?
From the first moment that we meet Valentine, it's clear to see that she thinks highly of herself and is not easily impressed. Stelegosa definitely makes a change in that. Eagerly, she inquires to know more, a shared interest in the academics and a mutual respect for their skills. They fly off into the distance to get to know one another better. Sadly, we haven't really seen Stelegosa after this moment, whereas Valentine, she would continue with the liberation of her people and join the Horde in their mission of breaking Ashvane out of prison. Hopefully in the future, we will see a bit more interaction between the two of them. Only I've noticed that a lot of characters on this list, they're somehow connected to magic, and Khadgar is no exception. Many have shipped their own character for Khadgar, and all the power to you. Khadgar is looking incredible these days. Now in his youth, Khadgar was the apprentice to the guardian Medivh, and there it was when he came in touch with Garona half-Orcan. While a bit hostile at first, these two became very close friends, which of course led to some shipping. Now once upon a time, it was actually Medivh who stole Garona's heart, but that's been changed with the Chronicles, so perhaps his desire of saving her in our reality, saving her again in the alternate one at nearly the cost of his own own life. Perhaps there's actually something more there. They have shown a close connection between Khadgar and Garona, but the ship that I personally find most interesting, that's the one that's a little bit more hidden. It's during Legion, where the Archmage and leader of the Kirin Tor, he gave us a world quest to retrieve some special coins that he dropped within the area. He was going to give them to, you know what, never mind. And while picking them up, a beautiful rainbow buff is placed upon you. Now it's anyone's guess who these coins were actually meant for. The only real potential lead that I could find, that is with Archmage Modera. She's been with the Kirin Tor and the Council of Six for a very long time, possibly longer than any of them, and she has seen many of the leaders come and go. With the power to level entire cities, she's no mage to trifle with, while the connection between her and Khadgar, that can be found within alchemy quests. For the quest, we're asked to collect a silver hair of Khadgar. We walk the shadows of invisibility and we pluck it from his head. As we do, Khadgar yells out, "Ow! What a delight was that?" Modera asks him, "Khadgar, what's wrong? What happened?" "Something bit my head, I think." "Something bit your head? That is all? Would you like me to kiss it for you?" Mwah. A small connection to be sure, but years of being part of the same organization, having interest in the arts of magic, getting gifts and teasing one another. Who knows? Who knows if he's truly alone in Medivh's tower right now? Or perhaps it's only one-sided, as many out there actually ship Modera not with Khadgar, but with Aphis Sunreaver. Being a member of the council for so long, it has seen her through quite a lot of tragedy, like Kel'Thuzad falling into necromancy, or the Blue Dragon aspect Malygos going on the offensive against the Kirin Tor. It was during that initial assault, where Aphis and Modera held the line together. They held a massive shield over the city, while the rest of them fought off the dragons. Then, fast forward to Legion, where Aphis would like to rejoin the Kirin Tor, and who's there to help him? His longtime friend Modera. So, sorry, Khadgar, she might be into someone else, but don't worry, there are plenty of players out there that you could crush on. I mean, you already hook us up with a ring, you constantly let us do things with you, and hey, since we're already busy retrieving your gifts, we might as well keep them, right?
Stop that! No, really, stop. No, I'm not kidding. Oh, no. Well, now I have to go change my robes. Thanks.
Next on my list, Koltira Deathweaver and Thessarian. The human Thessarian, he was a soldier of Lordaeron, and he followed Arthas to the cold heart of Northrend on his quest of taking out Mal'Ganis. Those familiar with the lore, you know that journey would lead to the prince picking of Frostmourne and falling into service of the Lich King. He returned to Lordaeron as a Death Knight, with Thessarian at his side. Death itself washed over the lands, and it set his eyes on the sun well, with the plan to resurrect Kel'Thuzad. Of course, the High Elves were not just going to roll over and die. They did everything in their power to protect their lands, including Koltira. He and Thessarian met in battle a couple of times, and the Blood Elf noticed that Thessarian, he was hesitant about killing him. Don't forget that they were unwillingly put into service of the Lich King, and Koltira, he could feel the conflict inside of Thessarian, gave him a choice to turn away from the Scourge and actually join him. But the will of the Lich King was too strong. Thessarian took his life, and he brought him back as a fellow Death Knight. Despite being murdered, they still developed a close bond with each other while serving under Arthas. They grew as close as brothers. Fast forward to the Death Knight starting experience, where Thessarian, he asked the fresh Death Knights to do him a favor, to go search for Koltira, who's been taken captive behind enemy lines. A Death Knight in the service of the Lich King, with such a strong connection to another, that he goes above and beyond to try and save him. Koltira even calls him a fool for it, but is very thankful for the rescue all the same. Their journey would split them up once again, with Koltira rejoining the Horde and Thessarian rejoining the Alliance, but their paths would cross several times, for example, at the Battle for Anderhall. Here we see Alliance and Horde forces clashing with each other, but these two refuse to pick up arms against one another, and instead they get a temporary peacefire going. The Dark Lady was not too pleased with Koltira's actions. Arthas clearly failed when he created his Death Knights, as they were still so very weak. Fortunately, she has agents that can help him with erasing that weakness beneath the Undercity. Hooks drag him through a portal. Who knows what she might have done to him in all that time? Well, people, and some might wonder, Blizzard themselves, they kind of forgot that this ever happened. We didn't hear a single thing about it. Yet Thessarian, he would not let this go. He would not forget about his brother. It's in Legion, amidst the war against the demons, and slowly working together again with the Lich King. His mind is once again focused on Koltira. The Death Lord itself is asked to go and save him, and sadly, they never really build upon the story here. They never really touched upon what Sylvanas did to him, but at least we were able to reunite Thessarian with Koltira. When the world was burned in the flames of Fel, his mind was focused on that long-lost brother. Even when the Lich King had a hold over his mind and soul, he hesitated with the kill. Even when they were supposed to just follow orders, regardless of who might be left behind. For Sarin and Koltira, they always look out for each other.
Death alone cannot stop us.
Another pair that's kept a very close eye on each other, that would be Illidan Stormrage and Medivh's Shadow Song. Over 10,000 years ago, Illidan decided to create a new Well of Eternity, after the original one was used to summon the Legion and a massive war broke out. Naturally, the elves weren't too happy about this, but Illidan knew that they had to be prepared for when the Legion returns. He lashed out, and instead of executing him for his crimes, they decided to place him in prison for quite a long time, as it turned out, since in a cruel twist of fate, the dragons now gave him immortality. Spells were used to prevent him from killing himself, and the warder Medivh made sure that the betrayer would not see the outside world ever again. Fast forward a few millennia, and Illidan, he would be proven right. The Legion had returned, and it was Tyrande that decided to let him out and have him help against the invading demons. He did just that, but not in the way that they could condone. Exiled from the lands, he still showed up to save his beloved Tyrande, and then he moved to Outland to work on his plans, with Medivh hot in pursuit. You might wonder why I don't actually ship Illidan with Tyrande, but that's for the simple reason, Tyrande has made her choice. She has chosen Malfurion, and honestly, she's not good enough for Illidan. Not good enough, like Medivh is anyways. Eternally devoted to the job, she followed Illidan to Outland, only to be captured. Now the roles are quite reversed. Now she is the one spending her time in prison. Until the moment came where Heroes of Azeroth showed up and they took care of the betrayer. In his final moments, it was once again Tyrande on his mind, not seeing what was right there in front of him. He warned Medivh that the hunter is nothing without her prey. Both of them had set their eyes on a goal that consumed them, motivated them every step of the way, and now her motivation was gone.
You are nothing without me.
He is right. I feel nothing. I am nothing.
That blow would show itself in the novel Stormrage, where Medivh wasn't too happy with their leaders letting the Highborn back into society, going as far as murdering a few of them and planning to do the same with Malfurion, but her brother Jared intervened. Only time could tell what would happen to Medivh, and time showed that, well, they decided not to pursue this story arc. Yeah, with Legion, they just wanted Medivh back in the role of Warden, so that temporary trying to murder people thing, that was simply forgotten about. They also wanted Illidan back, so instead of being gone for good, his spirits, like that of the demons, it went to the Twisted Nether, and we eventually put his soul back into his body. Medivh couldn't be happier.
Did you really think you could elude me, Illidan? Run again, and I'll shackle you like the beast you are.
Posture if you must, Medivh. But for now, do what you do best and follow me.
Oh, just kiss already. Not to mention that I clearly remember during the Legion Alpha, the moment that we saved Medivh in her cell, we found a little treasure box which contained a memento of Stormrage. I don't believe this ever made it into the live version, but I'm convinced that someone over at Blizzard, they ship these two as much as I do. Sadly though, Medivh would kind of vanish near the end of the story of Legion, whereas Illidan, as we know, he stayed behind with the Pantheon and Sargeras. Hopefully, his time there will show him the error of his ways, will show him that Tyrande will never be the one for him, and that the right elf was at his side all along.
Medivh.
Then, for the final one on my list, one of the most suggested characters to be shipped with pretty much anyone, King Anduin, but the ones that you ship him with, they're really diverse. Anduin has been in the game ever since Classic, being forced to grow up quickly as his father was first kidnapped and then had to deal with a bit of personal growth. The prince had his own journey to follow though, one that took him to many different places, meeting with many different races, and the boy, he has shown interest in both Draenei and dwarves, at least from what we know of the story. One place that he accidentally stumbled upon, that was Pandaria. His ship came under attack, the very reason why the Alliance was sent out, and then the Horde quickly followed. While there, he came in contact with the Black Dragon Rephion, with his own visions and ideas on what Azeroth should be, what the factions should be doing. He manipulated events, as Black Dragons like to do, all the while spending a whole bunch of time with Anduin, and a friendship quickly grew.
What are you trying to pull?
It is gone. I don't remember any of it. Oh, none of them remember. The irony.
What are you talking about? I don't trust you.
You are wise not to.
Wise indeed, as Refion's plans of pitching the factions against one another, it blew up in his face, and instead they decided to place Garrosh on trial. He came up with a new idea. While Garrosh was on trial, Anduin personally invited Refion to join them, to watch and listen and make up his own mind as to what was best for Azeroth. As much as the Black Prince could have friends, he considered Anduin to be one, yet that didn't stop him from going forward with his own plans of setting Garrosh free and sending him over to an alternate reality. That's what personally killed the ship for me. I don't think Refion is good enough for Anduin. His focus and attention is purely on Azeroth itself. She is his mistress, as a purified black dragon, an Earth Warden, and he will do whatever he thinks is best to safeguard her, even if that means knocking out people as close to him as Anduin is. I've also heard Gen and Jaina mentioned, but both of them, they seem to fulfill more of a family role rather than a romantic one. He calls her Auntie Jaina, of the close family kind of relation that they have, and Gen, he seems to be more of a father figure, with Anduin losing his father and Gen losing his son. Although, it would put an interesting spin on this line though.
Muzzle your dog, your majesty.
Yet all the same, Gen is concerned about the future. He suggested that perhaps his daughter Tess would make a good match, but Anduin thought that she would put up quite the protest if she was there to join the conversation. She's a remarkable woman, but she certainly has her own life, and Anduin doubts that Queen of Stormwind is high on her list of what she wants for her life. Personally, I've moved on from Refion to the newly introduced connection with Talia, especially since she is a 4-dragon. All the other things aside, like knowing about her even when he was little, about informing her in the future about what happened to her father, about the connection it might build, I would just love to see the line of Stormwind continue, with the badassery of the Rinns and 4-dragons mixed up. But time will tell if that's actually going to be a thing. Quite a few people already matched Talia with Flynn Fairwind, which definitely works from his side of things. He definitely has a thing going for her, but I don't see him as the type to settle down. He seems to be more a roguish pirate, leaving behind a broken heart in every port. But hey, like I said at the start of the video, this is just my take on things. And I really loved reading all your ships. I had no idea that there were so many out there. So thank you all very much for joining the conversation. There were actually quite a few more as well, like Bane with Mela, Talanchi with Rokan, Kashan with Chandris, or Sylvanas with Anduin, but I think that for today I've been going on for long enough. By all means though, leave your own personal favorite ships in the comments down below. I'm positive that we can come up with so many more, and for now, thank you very much for watching everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time guys, see ya!